in Zamfara State, and Iran blames negligence for port blast as death toll rises to 70. Details now. Thank you for staying with us. The world news at 12 begins on the foreign scene, where Iran's interior minister has said the negligence was a factor in the massive explosion and fire at the country's largest container port as the death toll rose to at least 70. Eskandar Momeni said Saturday's blast at Shahid Rajai port in Bandar Abbas, which also injured more than 1,000 people, was caused by shortcomings, including non-compliance with safety precautions and negligence. He noted that some individuals deemed responsible had been summoned for questioning. Customs authorities have said imported cargo caught fire and exploded. The Defense Ministry has denied foreign reports that it was a shipment of a missile fuel chemical. The Crisis Management Director for Hormozgan Province, Merdad Hassan Sadeh, also said on Monday that the firefighting effort at the port was almost in its final stages. Back home in Nigeria, witnesses set to testify against the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, will give their testimony behind the camera. The decision was made following a request by the federal government represented by Counsel Adegboyega Awomolo, who is a senior advocate of Nigeria. Following Awomolo's request, Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court in Abuja on Tuesday granted permission for the witnesses to testify behind the screen in the terrorism case against Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi Kanu is facing a 7-count terrorism charge brought against him by the federal government. During the court session, Justice Omotosho ruled on an ex-parte application filed by Awomolo. The federal government counsel argued that the identities of the witnesses needed to be protected for security reasons, given the sensitive nature of the terrorism charges. Awomolo requested that the names of the witnesses be shielded also from public discourse to ensure their safety. Meanwhile, former Delta State Governor and 2023 Vice Presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), Ifeanyi Okowa, has confirmed that his former principal Atiku Abubakar is preparing to leave the party. Okowa made the statement today during an interview on television, just a day after he and other PDP leaders in Delta State, including Governor Sheriff Oborevwori, officially defected to the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC). In the interview, Okowa revealed that he had informed Atiku ahead of the defection. Okowa added that Atiku had already given hints that he too was leaving the party. He explained that after consulting with political leaders in Delta, they decided almost unanimously to join the APC. Addressing the issue of political rotation between North and South, Okowa noted that while candidates emerge from both regions in every party, it is important for national unity that President Bola Tinubu completes his term. In a recent development, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) today arrested businesswoman Aisha Achimugu at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. VP News gathered that she was arrested at about 5 a.m. shortly after her return from London. Achimugu had been declared wanted in March by the EFCC over allegations of criminal conspiracy and money laundering. On Monday, the Federal High Court in Abuja, presided over by Justice I.E. Eko, had ordered her to appear before the EFCC on Tuesday and also to appear before the court on Wednesday, April 30, 2025. Her lawyer, Chief Chikaosolu Ojukwu, confirmed her arrest in a message, saying she arrived voluntarily into the country from London and was arrested by the EFCC around 5 a.m. today. He criticized the EFCC's action, describing it as a violation of a court order. He further disclosed that Achimugu had commenced a hunger strike to protest what he termed a breach of her fundamental human rights. Meanwhile, the chairman of 8 Nigerian Bar Association (NBA) branches in Rivers State have issued a strong condemnation of a recent query issued by the chairman of the NBA Port Harcourt branch, Cordelia Eke, by the administrator of Rivers State through the Ministry of Justice. The query, which was signed by Ebirem Deresima, the Director of Administration at the Ministry of Justice, and dated April 25, accused Eke of serious misconduct, alleging she co-authored a communique criticizing the administration prosecution for severe and brazen acts of lawlessness and impunity, and for actions deemed unconstitutional, including the dismantling of democratic institutions and attacks on peaceful protesters. The administrator claimed her actions violate need of immediate intervention to restore peace and security to their communities. Shettima alleged that Governor Daud Lawal's inaction, indifference, and total lack of concern for the plight of these citizens have directly contributed to the worsening security situation. According to him, instead of taking decisive action to confront bandits, the governor has demonstrated a total lack of preparedness and capacity to challenge the criminal element. He argued that a state of emergency was necessary to mobilize federal resources and restore law and order in Zamfara State. You are currently listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We'll take a short break and return with more news and the news analysis segment. Do stay tuned. You're still listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. To curb the trend of medical professionals leaving the country for greener pastures, the federal government has announced the 110 billion naira intervention fund for infrastructural development for key tertiary institutions across the country. Minister of Education Dr. Tunji Alausa disclosed this while inaugurating the Ministerial Monitoring Committee on TET Fund, a high impact intervention project for medical schools rehabilitation across the 6 geopolitical zones at the TET Fund headquarters in Abuja today. He said out of the fund, 70 billion naira will be spent on rehabilitating all the medical schools to be at par with international standards, while 15 billion will go for building hostels for the medical students. He said President Bola Tinubu has mandated key universities in the country to increase their admission quota for medical students as a means of curbing brain drain in the medical profession. According to him, the idea behind the policy is to train more medical personnel, both for local and international job opportunities. The minister said the intervention will be sustained over a period of 5 years by the federal government. Also, Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed has approved the appointment of 168 political aides in a bid to strengthen the machinery of government and enhance service delivery across the state. In a statement issued today, the governor's media advisor, Mukhtar Gidado, explained that the appointments cover various roles, including principal special assistants, senior special assistant, and personal assistant. Now joining me to discuss the world news at 12, I have Mr. Chukwuma Okoro, veteran journalist, political, social and national affairs analyst. Mr. Chukwuma Okoro, I cannot thank you enough for joining me this afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chairman.
Let's quickly talk about Nnamdi Kanu being in court and the federal government witnesses, that is those who have to testify against Nnamdi Kanu, doing so behind the screen. Some Nigerians are of the opinion that this is to protect their privacy and to protect them against from attacks, maybe from IPOB elements who might want to be like, oh, you testified against our leader, we'll show you Pepe.
Well, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know whether it is permissible in law, but on the intelligence side of it, I think it's permissible because you see, in some cases, you see witnesses, that are shielded from the public view just to protect the person's life, protect the person's records and all of that. So if the federal government it's saying, look, we don't want our witnesses to be known, but the question you'll understand from their premise, but the question to ask is, what is the federal government hiding from? What are they hiding? I mean, if these people are very clear that, look, Nnamdi Kanu committed these offenses, so why hide? So who are we sure? Okay, did they allow Nnamdi Kanu's defense counsels to cross-examine, to see those witnesses? Like I said, I am not a lawyer.
But his counsels agreed to that. When the federal government counsel asked for that, they agreed to it.
Which means it is permissible in law. Because it is clearly not what the person says that matters. It is not who says it, but what the person says that matters. Now, what they say, it is also verifiable. Are they going to adduce evidence to what they are saying? Or is it going to be hearsay? So these are the issues that the legal team of Nnamdi Kanu will have considered. And by the way, you are aware that Nnamdi Kanu also, in his legal team, we have 4 senior advocates of Nigeria now, including Onyechi Bazu, Emeka Etiaba, 2 other men, that joined his legal team, bringing them up to 19 people now, 19 lawyers in his legal team. And all of them are in court. So if they agree to that, I'm not sure that there is anything wrong with that within the ambit of the law.
While in court, Nnamdi Kanu has insisted that freedom fighting is his fundamental right and he hasn't done anything wrong. Also, the court admitted into evidence the interrogation between him and DSS officials after he was arrested in the beginning. This trial has been going on for a while. IPOB is accusing the federal government of judicial terrorism, saying they are using the judiciary to actually torment Nnamdi Kanu. Would you agree with that?
It's not just using the judiciary. Nnamdi Kanu's case is more like, it's not a political case. Nnamdi is a political prisoner, whether people like it or not, whether the federal government likes it or not. But that is what the people see, the Nigerian community, the international community. The thing has transisted, from being a legal matter to purely political matter. Because if it wasn't a political matter, the federal government would have let Nnamdi Kanu go. Because a court of competent jurisdiction, within this sovereign nation called Nigeria, said, look, in the first place, you don't even have the local standi within the purview of the law to try Nnamdi Kanu because you rendition him, which is against the international treaty that Nigeria signed. More like you kidnapped him from Kenya and brought him back to Nigeria. So, and Nnamdi has sued. So the first issue that should be determined is, do you have the legal right to bring back somebody? Nigeria and Kenya, do they have extradition treaty? And if they have, did you follow that treaty to bring him back? So you kidnapped him and brought him back to Nigeria. And a court said, no, you don't even have the right to put the man in the dock. So it is clearly, and mind you, a court had also discharged him. The federal government slammed fresh charges, 15 of them against him, including terrorism. So what is that supposed to be? Choma, is it still within the ambits of the law? It is purely political. So Nnamdi Kanu's case is clearly political. And I asked a question on the morning show this morning, on VOP TV morning show. And I asked, the new entrance into this legal team, is it going to make...
That's what difference will all of these names that we are hearing make for him if the judiciary or the federal government is not ready to drop this case against him?
Exactly the question I asked my guest this morning. And my guest, who by the way is a lawyer, said, look, that is going to make a difference. And my question was, what difference will it make? Are you now saying that the Aloy Ejimako and co, Ifeanyi Ejimako, that have been, Ifeanyi Ejiofor, that have been following this case, that they have not pursued it diligently? Or what? Is that what they are saying? We got a Michael Zekome that went to court and quashed all the charges against him, yet the federal government slammed.
We are going to make it and they hear that day. The land will eat you that very day. As you're going out to look for what the children will eat, the land will eat you instead.
All right, I don't want to continue with this because of, the kind of words that he's using, but how he's being abusive, insulting, antagonistic towards your people, promoting their welfare and their interests.
Okay, let me start from a premise that is very common within the sciences. I'm not a scientist, but I did a little bit of science in high school. There is something that is called cause and effect. And I will start from that premise to say, this is more like 27 of them, including Joe Salvo, Mbeki's father, Thabo Mbeki, Governor Mbeki was there, Walter Sisilu, Oliver Tambo, Gaured Bebe, and all of them were part of it. And these are people who had come to township to find a living. Yet, you said, no, you cannot go to this part of town. In his own country, in his own homeland. That was the cause. And what was the effect? The effect was the Soweto uprising and the 1966 uprising that led to his arrest and detention and eventual incarceration for 27 years. I'm talking about the cause and the effect. As of 2011, 2012, 2013, Nnamdi Kanu wasn't advocating for Biafra to exit Nigeria, for the Igbos to exit Nigeria. Nnamdi Kanu was like, what do we do to put this country together? Until a certain man made on the scene and started his own politics of victimization, his own ethnic politics, and clearly cut out the South from the commanding heights of our national life. And you expect the people to keep quiet? No, people will not. There's a vacuum.
That is heavy militarization. People not being able to move from point A to point B without
exactly the point.
Searched, people being kidnapped and killed.
Why is the southeast?
Why is the southeast?
Why is the southeast? Why is this peaceful southeast militarized? Why the war-torn north is not militarized? Do you have any explanation for that? Do you?
So that is your assessment in saying that his approach has worked up until now?
I'm asking, has it not worked? Because people look for a way to get their problem solved. The insecurity in the north that was used as an instrument, to drive certain set of people away from power, did it work? Did it work for them? If it did, has anybody been brought to book in that regard? People said, people said, look, election monitors will go back in body bags. Was anybody arrested? People said if this election doesn't go our way, baboon and the monkey will soak in blood, and people were killed. Members.
The people
has anybody's career been damaged?
Family members due to insecurity in the southeast and the activities of some people masquerading as IPOB, right? Whom IPOB he has a support staff.
Exactly the point. So what are we talking about?
A large number of people who are doing these methods have not seen their family members lying in a pool of blood after being attacked by people who claim to be IPOB.
What we should be interrogating is, why is the government blindsided? Why is the central government keeping a blind eye to what is happening in the southeast instead of addressing the matter? They are militarizing the southeast. Why? Are you telling me that the government doesn't have intelligence to know who is causing the problem in the southeast? Is it that they are like, oh, no, these people, okay, you can go ahead and kill yourself. That's your business. Is that what you are telling me? Is that what the federal government is doing? And how do you position that within the moral principles of politics?
It's a lot of questions, Mr. Okoro. But
more questions than answers.
For terrorism trial. IPOB, on the other hand, IPOB are saying, look, it is the federal government perpetrating judicial terrorism against Kanu. When you take all of these utterances and you try to dissect them, can't you actually put them under the umbrella of terrorism against your own people that you claim you're trying to liberate? And at this point, I'm not even playing devil's advocate, and I'm on the fence. I'm being objective.
Okay, no. What is? Can we define terrorism here? What is terrorism?
Acts of violence against the state, against the people.
Acts of violence against the state, against the people. How do you define violence? Violence, is it just with arms or with policies and institutions of government skewed against the people? Which one is more violent? The one that kills people instrumentally, or what? Terrorism, soft targets, deliberately, instigating violence, soft targets against people. What IPOB is doing, is it deliberate? Are they targeting their people, or are they fighting for their freedom?
When you tell people not to come out, and that when you see them outside,
and when you tell people
you
not
will
to
not
come out,
punish them, but you will kill them in order to prove a point. Do you know that
I'm happy that you said
that kept a lot of people inside because they were too scared to come out?
I'm happy you said that, look, that IPOB has even distanced itself from some of these killings. And mind you,
and
sometimes when I go to the
up to
south,
date with the latest coming out after this court case. So for now, this is the highlight of everything that happened and how he came in.
We are behind our leader. Someone that is fighting for us. And people say that the Southeast has lost so much billions of money. As a result of
people who are saying we are not coming out because we're scared.
As a result of the sit at home. And certain people will ask, for all the money that the Southeast made on Mondays in the past 10 years before the sit-at-home order, what did they do with the money? Is their life better off? So we begin to ask questions. See, what we are discussing is something in strategic studies to resolve our crisis. There is insecurity in all parts of the country. In the north, they are aggrieved. In the southwest, they are aggrieved. In the south, they are aggrieved. So why don't we sit down and say, look, how do we live together as a people? And if the government keeps living in denial, this issue is not only, in the Civil War, it was the Southeast against the country, against the entire country. But after then, every other person is aggrieved. Look at what happened last year in 2024, during the NBAD governance crisis. Did it happen in the Southeast? It happened in the North. Look at what happened in South during the days of militancy. Was it sport in the Southeast? No, it wasn't. So we need to sit down as a people and say, look, this is what we need to do. See, our diversity is our strength. It's a huge strength that we have as a people. No country will be greater than Nigeria if we sit down and say, look, this is what we will do to live together as a people. Nigeria is not the only multi-ethnic city in the world.
In the PDP, for the fact that Atiku has a better chance in the PDP, for the fact that he's been the presidential candidate for the past 5 election cycles.
The question you should be asking is, what is left of the PDP? And not whether Atiku is remaining in the PDP. What is left of the PDP? We heard rumors of defection, that this person is going to defect, that person is going to defect, and all of that. What is left of the PDP? And someone said that the people within the PDP will even cause more problem within the PDP than the people that have left. Where is Nyesom Wike? Is he in the PDP or is he in the APC? Where is Ili Adamagum, the national chairman of the PDP? Where is he? Is he in the PDP or is he in the APC? So the bigger question is, what is left of the PDP? For Atiku to say, if he has the ticket of PDP, he's going to win the election. Which election are we talking about?
The 2027 election.
2027 election. We'll see how it pans out.
We'll see how it pans out. Mr. Chukwuma Okoro, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
This was not on the books, but you've done amazing. I do appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for always being a part of us. You have been listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People.